Hey guys, this is Alex from Wilkinson Audio. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to stretch edit guitars. For this example, I'm using some stems I just grabbed off the internet here at reampzone.com. It's a kill switch engage cover. I noticed that the guitars were not edited, so it's a good candidate for this kind of treatment. And anyways, let's just get started. First thing we're going to do is hit Shift and the question mark button, like how you type a question mark, and that opens the Actions menu. And then we're just going to filter for stretch marker. And we need to bind a few commands here, or a few actions to some shortcuts. So add stretch marker at mouse position. I have bound to Shift A. You can bind these to whatever you want. These are just what I bound them to. And then remove all stretch markers and time selection is Shift Q. And snap stretch markers and time selection to grid is Shift D. So once you have those bound, you're ready to get started. And I'm just going to do a small section of this song because otherwise it would take forever. And we'll start with this lead here, and we're just going to duplicate the track, and then we're going to hit Shift E, which brings up the item's effects. It's not the track's effects, it's actually just for the region I've selected here, just the item itself. So Shift E will do that, and we'll add an EQ to that, and you'll see that the effects icon comes over the item to indicate that there's effects only on this item. And we're going to do a high pass here. We're going to solo this and listen to what this sounds like. And we just want to capture just kind of the transient information on this track. And then we're going to go right click, apply track effects to items as new take, mono output. And the point of this is that we're just trying to make a better visual guide that's easier to see than the original. So we don't actually use this track, it's just for the visual information to help us figure out where to put our stretch markers. So we're going to group these two tracks together. I don't know if I already did that or not, it's just G to do that. So I've grouped them together, and then I'm going to add stretch markers at the transients. And the nice thing about this method is you can keep some of the feel in the actual recording by not quantizing everything. For example, you could just quantize the downbeats, and then when you stretch it to the grid, it'll keep kind of the nuances in between. For this example, I'll probably just quantize everything though, including these beats in between here. Like that. So kind of find all the transients that you want to put on the grid. Like that. And then we're going to hit, well, first we need to get the grid the right size. It already was the right size, but you need to adjust your grid so that the spaces in between the stretch markers correlate with the grid spacing. And then you're going to select the region you want to quantize, and you're going to hit Shift F, or sorry, Shift D, not Shift F. And that will quantize all of the stretch markers to the grid. And then we're going to do something a little bit different for this next part here. I'm just going to split this and glue it. There's a reason why I did that. It's a little confusing. I believe it's actually a glitch in stretch markers, but I won't get into it. And I'm just going to go Shift N to normalize this so we can see it, because this is only, again, a guide track. We're not going to use this. And then we'll make sure these are grouped together. And now we're going to hit D to do a dynamic split of the items. And as you can see, I guess these settings I had were already almost perfect for this because they're splitting it very well at all the transients. Maybe we're missing that last one though. Maybe we can get that one too. So you want to go and you want to set your transient threshold and everything. You want to try and get the transients lined up as well as possible. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get, oh yeah, maybe we can get that last one. But you see we're getting some extra ones around here, so we need to adjust our thresholds and everything. We might have had it as good as it was going to get before, I'm not sure. So we'll say that this is as good as we can get it, and then we'll just hit, we'll select replace stretch markers and selected items and add to grouped items. And then we'll hit split, and that'll add all of our split or stretch markers to all of these transients. And then we're going to adjust our grid accordingly. And we might want to move these whole things closer to the grid, like just back like that, because they're all a little bit late. I don't know if I did that or if that's how they were, but yeah, so let's adjust our grid and then get these as close as possible to the grid. And then we'll hit Shift D, and that'll quantize all of them to the grid again. Okay, and then for stuff like this, when we have one, it's like something that didn't get a stretch marker, we can just hit Shift A, and then we can hold Shift and we can just move the stretch marker back like that. and then that should have put all these on time. So once again, we don't use our visual track, so we'll just mute it, and then we'll solo the actual track, and we'll listen to how on time this is with the metronome. So that's a quick way to quantize all that. So that's cool for now. And let's move on to the guitar rhythm and see if we can do something similar with this. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna do this one region here to here, I guess, or something like that. And we're just gonna duplicate this track here. Grouping these together again, Shift E to access the item effects. Re-EQ again, let's solo our duplicated track here, and then we'll do our high pass. And I'm gonna get rid of that metronome for now. And we just want some transient information, and let's apply that track effects, or the take effects, to items as new take mono output. And then let's hit Shift N to normalize that. And you don't always have to do this. If you can see the transient information and stuff like that up here, that's fine. As you can see, it brought out some transient information here. But it's about the same for the rest of it. It's not really giving us much more to work with, but it's sometimes that works really well. I think we'll see it work even better on bass guitar. But so this is what we have to work with. You could mess with your high pass and try and get a better visual representation of where the transients are, but we'll go with this for now. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're just adding our stretch markers to where the transients are. If you're not sure where a transient is, you can probably skip it and just go to the next transient you can visually see. It's probably safer to do that than to add stretch markers to stuff where you're not really sure where the transient is. Okay, so let's add a couple more here. Some of the transients are actually easier to see on the original guide than the new one we made. Okay. So let's take this and then select all of it and hit Shift D, and I'll quantize all of it. And let's just kind of listen for timing. Let's just listen for timing with this track we currently have soloed. And you can just move these accordingly, like so. And use our tracks to visualize kind of where it is, where the transients are and where they're landing. Okay, and we're just gonna add some more stretch markers here. And when you do the Shift D thing, it only adds, or it only quantizes the ones within the selection. So let's adjust the grid for this selection here, and then let's just select it and hit Shift D, and then that should quantize all those for us. And let's just add another one here, and we'll move that over a bit. And that sounds all right to me. So let's go back to our original track here. Oops. So that's pretty on time now. And then we'll do the same thing for our bass guitar. We'll duplicate it, do the track effects thing, Shift E, Re-EQ, solo it. And then we will apply those effects, and then Shift N. And as you can see with the bass guitar, it made a substantial difference, and it made it way easier to see where the transients are. Okay, so we'll group these together, and then we can take this visual guide, and we will add stretch markers. You could do this a little more carefully than I'm doing it. You'd probably want to zoom in more and make sure you're actually kind of really getting them in the right spot. Okay. Okay. And for this part, we want our grid size to be larger so that there's less margin for error, and we'll hit Shift D. And then for this region, we want our grid to be smaller so it quantizes properly. We'll hit Shift D again. And I'm just going to add another stretch marker here and just do this one by ear because I can't really see. That's probably fine, just somewhere in there is fine. All right, and let's solo the actual track and have a listen to that with the metronome. And that's pretty close to being on time. If you wanted, you can look at this in this visual guide as well and kind of tune it up and get it as close as you possibly can to all being on time. So now we have all this stuff edited. We'll just solo it and listen to it kind of together here. So that's edited together. And I'll get rid of all of it with Shift Q, all of our edits that we did. So that's no timing correction, and this is timing correction. And you can tell that's a lot more solid and on the beat. I don't really have this song mixed or anything, but let's just listen to it with the drums and just kind of get a feel of how it plays with the drums when it's edited versus when it's just regular. All right, so let's try this. This is the edited version. Particularly these chugs are tighter sounding now. That's cool. And let's get rid of all of with Shift Q, get rid of all of our stretch markers again and have a listen. Okay, again, edited, just these chugs. So it definitely has a tighter feel and all that. And so anyways, you just go through the whole song and just kind of do that process. Yeah, cool. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, subscribe. I'll have a bunch more videos kind of like this of just stuff that is kind of essential to audio engineering, but there's not that much information on. So cool. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.